Hello, everybody. My name is Nora Swain, and this is the very first episode of my Capstone podcast. Over the next 12 weeks, I'm going to be discussing topics like fashion, skincare, beauty, etc. So this is my very first episode all about skincare. When I was getting ready to prepare for this week's interviews that I had lined up, I really wanted to talk about the toxic versus clean ingredients commonly found in skincare products that people find in stores like Sephora or online forums. However, I found myself extremely confused after learning all this great information from my sources because what I kind of figured out is the skincare journey is extremely personal and it's extremely confusing all at the same time. So to get started, I spoke with 3 specialists in the beauty community. My first expert was a skincare stylist from Nordstrom that worked directly with customers to learn about skincare product trends.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, perfect. First off, can you please just introduce yourself and your position?
Okay, my name is Paula Zhang. I'm a beauty stylist for Nordstrom here in Atlanta at the Perimeter location, Nordstrom. And I have been in beauty for almost 18 years, so I am that person that you come to when you don't know what you're getting at or you're confused about what you want to get.
When I first started talking to Paula, my goal was to talk about ingredients that were labeled as toxic and as clean that are normally stamped with that clean seal of approval. However, our conversation led me to some information that I wasn't even sure existed.
I feel like over the last, maybe it was because of COVID, I feel like a lot more people are kind of getting a better understanding about skincare, about their own skin, about the ingredients that goes into their products. So do you find that you have more customers looking for clean skincare?
You know what? A lot of people are interested. I don't really say they are looking for clean because they're all over social media. That's why they want to use it.
So by speaking with Paula, I found out that not a lot of her clientele actually care or even know really what makes skincare clean versus not clean. However, she did tell me a bit of information about some of the marketing that some of these brands do.
Now, the vendors that come in will tell us, hey, this is clean, this is good for you. So, of course, we want to support them. The only way that any company will be able to truly testify that they are clean is they have to have those labels on it. Most companies don't want to pay for it. It's too expensive. A lot of brands say they are clean, but you just don't know for sure.
By finding out that a lot of brands don't want to pay for that label to say that they're clean, made me start to think that they're really putting a lot of faith into their loyal customers to look at ingredients that most people don't even know how to pronounce. That led me to my next specialist, Dr. Felicia Hoffman of Goodman Dermatology.
Certainly. So I am Felicia Hoffman. I'm a physician assistant at Goodman Dermatology. I've been a PA in dermatology for 16, going on 17 years.
I first started asking Dr. Felicia Hoffman some questions about what exactly is a bad ingredient in a skincare product because I may not be the only one, but when I look at the big names on the back of the label, I can't necessarily say them, let alone understand what they are.
Really, the ingredients that tend to be things that we steer away from in dermatology would be ingredients that we see common allergens in more so than what people claim, this week is toxic versus another.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times we want to stay clear of a lot of unnecessary perfumes and added fragrances. They typically will cause more irritation. As well, we also try to avoid lanolin-based products or things with excess parabens. It tends to be more of a chemical-free base for sunscreens that we like to use rather than a lot of the avobenzones. You typically find that if we're trying to ask people to put sunscreens on a more consistent basis, we want them not to be using products that could potentially cause harm in the future. So,
now here's where I start to ask Dr. Hoffman about some of those ingredients that do tend to cause some skin damage to her clients.
Do you get a lot of patients in your office who have damaged skin from some of the products that with those bad ingredients in them?
Usually more injured rather, temporarily as far as like an irritant or a contact dermatitis. Not usually irreparable harm, which is fortunate. But we do take care of that on a daily basis.
Now, at this point of the podcast, I feel it's important to introduce my third source, Kimberly Clark of Spa of Historic Roswell. She's an esthetician and has been in practice for 30 years. I want to introduce her now at this point in the podcast because she has some points about some of those toxic ingredients that are a little contradicting to Dr. Hoffman's opinions.
My name is Kimberly Clark, and I am owner and esthetician at Spa of Historic Roswell in Roswell, Georgia. I've been in business for 30 years.
At this point, I had asked Kimberly the exact same question I asked Dr. Hoffman about long-term skin damage due to some of these toxic ingredients.
So when I talked to the dermatologist, I asked her if she ever saw prolonged skin damage from some of these products, and she said it was temporary and things that could be fixed. Do you feel the same way, or do you feel that some of these things are long-term?
I think a lot of it's long-term. I mean, once you've thinned that skin out enough, I mean, you can do peptides to build up the skin. You can do stuff for collagen, but I think if you've damaged that dermis enough, I think there's really no going back.
Mm-hmm. Although Kimberly and Dr. Hoffman both had different opinions on whether or not some of that skin damage is permanent or not and has long-term effects, one thing they did both agree on is that nobody can really say what's best for your skin unless you get upfront with a specialist to see what you really need. That is all for my first episode. I hope that this episode kind of pointed out that the skincare journey is a little bit daunting and confusing, but you can get to a point where you can be happy with your skin and happy with yourself. So I hope that this was a helpful episode for you all, and I encourage you all to reach out to someone you trust to really figure out that skincare journey for you. I will see you all on the next episode.